quick note. If you want to understand what really makes people succeed in German and how you can build a language to actually use it, join my free live workshop at bettergerman.info/workshop. Let's take groß. That's big. So we can say the big ball. Der große Ball. So the form itself, the word itself is groß. And I would say der Ball ist groß. But if I put it in front, I would say der große Ball. If I want to say something like the big ball is in the living room. Der große Ball ist im Wohnzimmer. Welcome to the Better German podcast. I'm Susi Blümel, a German teacher and founder of Better German. This podcast helps you learn German in a simple and clear way, with useful words, clear sentence structures, pronunciation, and real-life topics from daily life and culture. You'll also get tips for learning German and understanding how the language actually works. And when you're ready, we have a free community and courses to support you even more. All right, so welcome to the Better German podcast. We're going to talk about adjectives and how adjectives change in German when you put them before nouns. Great! Now I'm going to record something that I thought I had already recorded. Okay, good. So just to be sure, an adjective is, of course, a word like in English, big, small, nice, ugly, things like that. In German, that would be groß, klein, schön, hässlich, or beautiful is better translated as schön, and nice is probably better translated as nett. Good. So these are adjectives. If you've never heard about them, or you're not familiar with German adjectives at all, then I suggest you to go back to the episode. I'm not sure which number it is right now, but I'm going to link it in the show notes. Go there and listen to that episode. And while we're at it, if you're completely new to the podcast and you're a beginner or you haven't learned German in a while, you want to get back into it, then I suggest you to go to the episode 1 and start listening from there. I've built the episode kind of like a little bit like a course, so you can follow one thing after the other, and many things build up on one another. I do try to make episodes to be able to be heard standalone, but I think that probably the best way of listening to it is from the beginning. Okay. Sometimes people can get very confused about adjectives, and yes, it's true. They can change. However, I'm going to make it simple. This is the first, or this is kind of like the beginning of talking about how they are changing, and we're going to see how they change in two different situations. Let's jump in. Okay, so first of all, we're going to look if we are saying a sentence like, the beautiful child is sleeping. The good news is, I think you like that, we don't need a special tense like is sleeping. So in German, we would actually say, the beautiful child sleeps, and that's what we need, and that's getting us far. We actually covered that word in one of the recent episodes, and that would be schläft. So the beautiful child sleeps, for example, or the beautiful tree is outside. So let's look at that. The thing is basically very simple. So first of all, there is a free PDF to download, because I think it is much easier if you can actually look at this. If you watch the video version on YouTube, then you will see it. However, the video version always takes a little bit to come. I'm working on getting them there faster, but there is always a little bit of a lag between the audio and the video. So hopefully by the time this episode is published, we will have caught up on this. But anyway, you can get it, so definitely go and download the free PDF. I'm going to link it in the show notes. Or you go to bettergerman.info/adjectives2. So adjectives 1, in case you wonder, is basically a list of adjectives, but we didn't go into how they're changing. So if you want to put, now, if you just say der Baum, okay, that's the tree. And now you want to say the beautiful tree. You want to put that inside. So in this case, we just add an E to any adjectives. Der schöne Baum is the beautiful tree. Good. And if it's a female word, meaning a word with the article D, in English, again, there is no difference. The beautiful woman, die schöne Frau. So the only thing that really changes is the article. The schöne doesn't change. Und the beautiful child would be das schöne Kind. So, simple rule. If we have der, die, or das, these are called, by the way, definite articles. And what's definite about them is that we know, when we use them, of course, which one we're talking about. So when I say the tree, that's the same thing in English, like in German. When I say the tree, I mean a specific tree. In German, der Baum. The only difference is that we are splitting up this the into 3 different categories. Why? I don't know. But that's the way it is. We cannot just undo it, unfortunately, in German. But actually, these are not that hard. It's just getting a little bit used to, and when you understand them. So that's the only thing. By the way, if this is new to you, don't worry about it. Sit there, try to understand it, and then you will see and notice it when you hear things, when you read things, and you will go like, that's why. But don't stress out about it. It will come to you in time. Maybe you have had the thought, maybe I'm not good at German. Then I want to assure you that's not the point. That's not the problem. I'm going to show you what is the problem. And how I show you is I have actually put together a workshop. It's a free live workshop on Zoom. And in there, I'm going over what could make you think that. We'll cover what could go wrong, but I'm also going to show you how can it be done right? So go to bettergerman.info/workshop and sign up for the workshop, and I'll see you there. Good. Let's make a few more examples. So let's take another adjective, another thing that describes. Let's take groß. That's big. So we can say the big ball. Der große Ball. So the form itself, the word itself is groß. And I would say der Ball ist groß. But if I put it in front, I would say der große Ball. If I want to say something like the big ball is in the living room. Der große Ball ist im Wohnzimmer. Okay, and when I say, like, let's take a word vase, I would say the vase is big, but I would say die Vase ist groß. And if I put it in front, I would say die große Vase. I could say something like the big vase is beautiful. Die große Vase ist schön. Good. Very simple. And then the big book. I could say the book is big. Das Buch ist groß. But I want to say the big book is interesting. Das große Buch ist interessant. Good. So I suggest that you practice this a little bit, and it's a very simple practice. You just take a few of the adjectives and just make a few examples, something like we just did. I'm going to say a few and you can repeat that. The white table, der weiße Tisch. The beautiful picture, das schöne Bild. The old man, der alte Mann. So just sit down and write up a few. When you get the free PDF, you will have a few prompts to make examples like that. Good. Let's go to the next and actually last subject of this episode. First, let's look at the relationship between the and a. As we just covered, when I say the, I mean a specific thing of whatever I'm talking about. If I say der Tisch, I mean a specific table. So either we have just talked about it, or we both know which one we're talking about probably, or we're standing right in front of it, or I'm pointing at it, something like that. Then it makes sense to say der Tisch ist groß. I'm saying this very specifically because depending on what your native language is, if your native language is English, you will probably not have a big problem grasping that. But there are languages that don't have articles at all, and they do what we go over here in a different way. So therefore, sometimes the concept of an article could be a little harder to grasp. And even if your native language is English, it is very possible that you've never thought about it. So I'm going to say it anyway. Good. Now, if we say instead of der Tisch, ein Tisch, then I'm talking about any table in that category, or any word in that category, which is table in this case. So ein Tisch is like it's not specified. I could say something like I need a table. And if I said I need the table, we're talking about a specific one. And if I say I need a table, I maybe not care, or I am just not saying which one. Good. That's the difference. So I'm going to give you some examples. Der Baum is the tree, or the tree is der Baum, and a tree is ein Baum. The woman is die Frau, and a woman is eine Frau. The child is das Kind, and a child is ein Kind. That's actually something, I'm not sure I've ever covered that in a podcast. I think I haven't. Anyway, it's actually just the introduction. Now let's look if we add the adjectives, the word that describes here. So there is a little bit more change here because so far we've only ever added an E. And now we actually have three different forms. So if I say a beautiful tree, tree is der. And this is something that we have to know now. So when we know it's der Baum, the tree is der Baum, then we say ein, we just had that, der Baum is ein Baum, becomes ein Baum. So the tree is der Baum, a tree is ein Baum. And if the thing is male, because der is male, it is becoming ein schöner Baum. That is, by the way, something that is kind of important, and the rule, the way how you can think of, okay, how do I know which one of this is which? Der is ending with an R, and the adjective actually gets an ER ending. So der schöne Baum becomes ein schöner Baum. Good. Now, how does it look with the woman? Good news, there is no real change between ein und die in this case. So, die schöne Frau, the beautiful woman, die schöne Frau, becomes eine schöne Frau. Okay. Then, das schöne Kind, the beautiful child, becomes ein schönes Kind. And again, the S that we have in das is now in schönes. That's kind of like something that can help you make the connection. Good. Let's do a few examples with the same word. Let's take old, alt. So, die old table, der alte Tisch, in this case we say an in English, an old table, ein alter Tisch. Good. Then the old woman, die alte Frau. An old woman, eine alte Frau. Okay, I'm not going to say ein altes Kind, an old child, because that doesn't really make sense. So I'm going to say die old book, das alte Buch, and an old book, ein altes Buch. So, very simple. Ein ER, so ein schöner, ein alter, ein neuer, ein großer, ein kleiner. So we always add ER. When it's there, we add E, like we did on D already, when it's a female noun, and then we add ES. Ein schönes Buch, ein neues Kleid, ein altes Auto, and so on. So that's basically what it is. Now the trick here, as I said, if you're listening to this for the first time, and this is the first time you hear that and you're kind of beginner, what I would like you to do is do the exercises. Sit down, make your own examples. You have to write your own examples, and then when you start wrapping your mind around it, then have to say your own examples. So really do it thoroughly. But at the same time, do not after that expect to never make any mistakes or something like that. To really be able to do that when you're within a conversation properly, this is taking time. Give yourself the time. However, I still want you to try understand it now, because then you will notice it and then you will get used to it. It's a big piece of things that maybe not have made any sense to you right now, and therefore you probably didn't even listen to them. But now when you know what that is, you will start noticing it. And with that, over time, it will become easy to do. You'll have to practice it a couple of more times, but don't get worried don't get stuck on it. Still sit down and do it and figure it out once and understand it, and then you can observe the pattern, and that will eventually help you to apply it for the future. Okay, so I hope this was helpful for you. I was trying to not make it too long. There will be, first of all, there is a few things that I wanted to refer to. So there will be a course. I'm going to make a mini course now that my Get Talking course has launched and we've just started the delivery. I'm going to make a little bit later in the year, or soonish, a mini course. It's not a huge course, but a course with a few lessons where I'm going over these different changes that adjectives make, like this one, but also what happens when you say something like, I see a beautiful car, or something like that, and a few others. So there is an adjectives mini course to go over all the major changes that adjectives do. I'm going to explain them like this, and you will have prompts to practice each and every one of them. So if you have signed up for my newsletter, then you will be notified once this is ready. I hope to see you there. Here is a story from one of my students. She came to Austria because of love, and she started learning German, and she tried learning German, and she learned German with different people. She had private teachers and private tutors that tried to help her, and she worked hard, and she didn't speak German. Then she came to me. I worked with her, and she was not a difficult student, frankly. Not at all. She was one of the easiest students I've ever had. We didn't do private lessons. She was in one of my small group programs, and after 2 months, she spoke German. That's her saying that, not me. Her name was Diana. And I'm not telling you this because I want to tell you how great of a teacher I am. But I'm telling this to you because what was wrong here was the method. It wasn't her, it wasn't the language. And most people, when they run into a problem, they think it's them or they think it's the language. And it's neither of them. Everyone can learn German, but you have to use the right method. So if you want to know what you can do to actually learn German, then join me in the free workshop, How to Actually Learn German. It's really a culmination of all the things that I'm using in my German programs and also in the podcast, by the way. Join me in the workshop. It's a live free workshop with me. I'd love to see you there. It's on Zoom, and you can find out everything about it at bettergerman.info/workshop.